Happy Valentine's Day, everybody, and welcome to the Day After podcast and our sub-show, Too Many KUBRICKS.
You son of a bitch.
I am shaking my head in shame right now.
You're
scheduling this for Valentine's Day?
I didn't, but then I saw it matches up. Valentine's Day falls on a Sunday. It's not my fault we filmed this in October, okay? Too Many KUBRICKS coming January 10th. Welcome to Too Many KUBRICKS, where we watch and review every Stanley Kubrick film in chronological order. On this episode, we've brought a special guest to introduce to talk about the film with us. Today, we are discussing the 1962 film Lolita, based on the 1955 novel of the same name by Vladimir Nabokov. And we have our new friend today, published author Randall, has joined us on the couch to discuss this.
My God. Hello.
So, one of the things I can't get over about this is, on the heels of Spartacus, this huge, epic, historical, blockbuster hit, the studios is like, okay, Stanley, what do you want to do next? I want to do the pedo book. Can we do the pedo book?
Stanley, you could have $500 million. Just let's make... Do you want to make like maybe a movie about some British ruffians who love Beethoven? You can make a space thing where computers are evil. No, pedo book.
I remember you telling me after a certain point, Stanley Kubrick said like, I don't want to repeat myself.
Maybe he did say like he wanted to kind of put his fingers.
Like his early filmography is a lot of noir, and you can tell he's getting tired of it.
Yeah, so. I think that
this is a drastic shift.
I don't mean to be that guy that's but based on biases of mine, dumps on the first 4 Kubrick films. Maybe not Paths of Glory because that's fantastic, but at about Spartacus, he starts saying that he wants to do a Sword and Sandals. And then whatever Lolita is. And then he's like, let's go do Barry Lyndon, Dr. Strangelove. And it's off to the races. He did basically 10 hits in a row.
I mean, but, tons of scholars agree. I mean, Lolita is this masterpiece to actually convey it in film convincingly. I mean, it felt like, and one of the things I noticed right away is like, wow, we aren't in Humbert's head like you are in the book, and yet somehow Kubrick approaches this challenge and takes it on and succeeds, and it really surprised me that it could succeed without being in his head the entire time.
I agree. I was initially skeptical about how the hell do you convey this book, which is all about the voice, and yet he stages it in such. This is like I'm so glad that Kubrick. First off, this convinces me he's a great reader. This is a fantastic black comedy, and that's exactly what he needed to show for Lolita.
We kept laughing, and it felt bad to laugh, but we had to keep laughing.
Lolita's crying because her mom's dead. Isn't that funny? Why am I laughing?
Because Kubrick's a good director in this film.
Oh, so curious. As someone, me and Randall came to this movie with expectations.
Okay. Of
someone who've read the book. What were your expectations, Johnny?
I've grown to admire the situations where I have forgotten to Google a movie before we watch it. I used to do that all the time, and like 90% through Spartacus, I'm like, oh God, they're all gonna die. Johnny, are you not familiar with the story of Spartacus?
Wait, this is the I Am Spartacus movie. Yes, Johnny, Spartacus is the I Am Spartacus movie.
Holy shit! No, but I felt that it had a more like, I don't want to say I was along for the ride, but just tell me a story. You're right. This is very literary, which sounds douchey to say. It's told in a very story-like, even for how black it is, it's told in a very like these first-person audio vignettes trying to push the thing forward. And you're right. We can't get. It's hard to inject this first-person. You can't focus a camera in a pervy way. I mean, you could try to emulate the male gaze, but I think kind of censorship was a little different back in the 60s, which is why I found this was actually didn't have the teeth that I thought it was.
Actually, and it's actually one of the historically, this book sold a ton, and a lot of people were disappointed because they were like, "Where's the fucking naughty bits?" And it's not that dirty of a book.
No, I mean the dirtiness is it's all in the book. It's hidden underneath the things that aren't said, and then here in the movie, it's hidden in the blackouts and in the little things in the background, like the all girls camp is called Camp Climax. Camp Climax.
This do you find that there's a certain I don't want to say cleverness, but by putting not your best foot forward, but like when these really crass jokes like naming the camp Climax, or I made you a big fat mayonnaise sandwich, you better eat that whole thing. There's a weird sort of sledgehammer wit to putting all of your most obvious jokes right at the front. Right? Because it takes a genius to be sneaky. You have to be somebody else to be, hey, mayonnaise.
I couldn't tell because as we were watching it, all of us were making those jokes aloud as we were sipping a bit of alcohol and going, dick jokes. Which all in good fun.
This has been described as a very delicate book, a very intricate, very linguistic heavy book. They made the list of multi-language puns that show up everywhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if I caught the multi-language puns. I don't speak all that many languages. Not like Nabokov. I'm sure did. But you know, there was a lot hidden, like you know, images in the book, like Lolita being protected by roses. So like she hid stuff underneath a trash can that had roses on it, and in her class list, her name was stuck between two roses, one first name, one last name. Like, like, you know, like very like Nabokov is just, he's fucking clever, but in order to understand the book, you don't need to be clever or catch all the cleverness, which is what's good about he's not one of these like, haha, you didn't understand it because you missed something. No, you can get the story of the awful human being that Humbert is.
I don't want to preach for the rewatchability of a pedo movie, but like, but that yeah, you get it. It's like a song you've heard 10 million times, and you're just like, oh, that line had an extra pun in it.
Yeah, Nabokov's work is filled with puzzles and little. We would call them Easter eggs. Like, one of the things that me and Randall were giggling at is that there's a character that's hanging around Claire Quilty, this dark-haired girl, and her name is Vivian Darkbloom. You rearrange those letters, it's Vladimir Nabokov. It's filled with those kind of things. And I think that, okay, if you're going to get an American director to make a movie that has all these hidden references and stuff, Kubrick is your man. Like, secretly, Lolita's about the moon landing.
I think the ship has sailed on a Room 237 style documentary about Lolita and its hidden messages.
Well, tell that to academia about writing books about Lolita. Oh, sorry.
You know, well, and the big puzzle in there is Claire Quilty, the nemesis or doppelganger of Humbert, and you know, he is so much more upfront in this movie, and yet at the same time, well, you know, we're watching this with John and Haley, and they're not sure is this character? It's obviously played by the same actor, but is he supposed to be Claire Quilty in the movie? And there's just, if you don't know the puzzle, it's actually a lot more puzzling, apparently. Like some things that seemed obvious to me, if you hadn't read the book, it isn't that obvious.
And this book ends with, this movie ends with kind of a answers at the end of the book kind of scene, which was kind of blunt and a little not to my taste.
Like,
okay, yeah.
But I'm sorry.
I was gonna say and you know, you start this movie where the book ends, and it works out really well, and it sets the dark comedy going. It gives you the key to the puzzle right away.
Yeah.
And I was just so surprised at how well conveyed, because it is a murder scene. It's not really a spoiler here because it is the very first scene of the movie. It's a murder scene, and it is written in the book. It's maybe the most comedic part of the book.
It is.
And the movie does it so well, and I was like, wow, that was great.
In terms of one of the two things I want to say about how this movie conveys the personalities of the two main characters. One, I was a little skeptical because she seemed a little old, but the girl who plays Lolita is fantastic in this movie.
Sue Lyon of Davenport, Iowa, died December last year.
Oh, wow.
73.
Just the way she conveys this American teenager that's hidden under this rose-colored depiction of Lolita in the book, that you have to like, because Humbert has this romantic portrait of the nymphette, and every time that's always jarring with who Lolita always is.
The consumeristic, self-centered American teenager.
Really vapid. I don't like foreign movies. Give me a malt.
Yes. In no way does she deserve what's happened to her, but she's not an innocent little girl.
And she knows how to manipulate her abuse.
Yes.
To her own ends. And it's as much a survival strategy as it is a display of how clever she can really be for, this, sort of dumb American girl in many other ways.
As to the portrayal of Humbert, one of the things I found interesting to remark on is that the thing that about Humbert in the novel that creeps me out the most, it's the thing about the novel that makes it so uncomfortable to me, is that I'm constantly in Humbert's head. And in Humbert's head, everyone is cardboard. Everyone is like, he does not see depth to anyone. They are purely an obstacle to what he wants. And you occasionally get that in this movie, where he, like, when when Lolita's mother is talking to him, he's constantly, oh yes, yeah, oh yes, yeah, and he does not try to respect the fact that she is a full three-dimensional human being. No one is, except Lolita at the end. And Humbert portrays himself as he tries to portray himself as kind of the most normal-ish person. Everyone else is a gross caricature in the book. And in these initial scenes of this movie, Humbert is a straight man. He is the straight man amidst all the buffoons and the fakes and the phonies. And he's just going, oh, yes, I think I'd like to leave. Now, he's just the normal guy who wants to leave the weird people. But he's the weirdest person there.
he is the weirdest person there is. And and I know we said we're gonna try not to talk about the book, but it's just too tempting. In the book, there's a character that is not in the movie. He has a friend who he knows is a pederast, this man who goes to Greece to sleep with young boys there, or teenage boys there, or whatever. And the way Humbert treats everyone else is cardboard. This man treats Humbert and Humbert's Lolita like that. He says, "Oh, how are your little girls?" He doesn't even this friend of Humbert doesn't even realize that there's only one stepdaughter that he has. To him it's just a multitude of young girls, and he doesn't give a fuck about them, and they're not real. And it's just interesting to see Humbert put in that position by another pedo creep.
Yes. And to the point about how does a movie get inside Humbert's head, I feel like the first third of this movie is that angle. It's that point of view where Humbert's kind of bland in the first section of this movie.
Yes.
And it's the mom who's like, what the fuck is wrong with her? And then it starts to, like, the viewer's point of view starts to crack as she starts to get pissed off with Lolita, and then and then you realize, oh my God, this woman is so lonely. Granted, I'm not saying that she's a perfectly good person or like she deserves this thing that's going to happen to her. The parody of her starts to crack, and you just kind of see, like, this woman she is pathetic in the original use of the term. She's like,
She invokes pathos.
yeah,
Okay.
she's not just a cartoon. She's someone who needs a lot of help.
She's not the best mother. She's a little short-tempered. Doesn't realize her man has a thing for the daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though there are a couple of hints, but I can understand why she didn't pick up on them.
Mm-hmm.
She literally takes a photo of Humbert unknowingly to him at first while he's like gawking at his daughter hula hooping. I'm just like, did you not notice where his attention was? That was not on his book. But she's only has eyes for him. She is only paying attention to him. It's, not until she reads his diary that she realizes, oh, fuck. You think I'm a cow. And I thought that was interesting how at first you don't know that she knows about him and about Humbert's lust for Lolita. And she at first she just says, you call me these names, you call me a cow, that Hayes woman, that and she's focusing again on herself, and I thought, wow, that is really that is her character. And then as she walks out of the room at last, she's like you'll never see that little brat again or whatever. And it's like, okay, she knows. But
like she focuses on first, you called me a cow and a bimbo and all that stuff, and oh yeah, you want to fuck my daughter. That bitch. You feel sorry that Lolita has to grow up around these people. At least I do. I feel like that she deserved better people to grow up around.
I mean, but even her, she cries before her mother died, or after her mother dies, she's crying to Humbert. Everything was so normal.
My records, I need my
right,
records.
and he's trying to appease her with material things, which is that critique of consumerism that Nabokov puts in Lolita. It's easy to lose that, but it's definitely there. But did you ever, John?
Yes.
I'm curious. Did you ever find yourself sympathetic to Humbert? Just from the movie here?
From the movie. Choose my words wisely, as always. I found it slightly difficult, and this comes from a man who found Alex DeLarge from Clockwork Orange sympathetic at the end. If there's one, maybe it's a really Luddite observation, but this is, I think, a novelization and a film about vice, and I think that everybody, not vice, excuse me, taboo. Everybody here, they made it extremely clear, as much as they could in the 60s, that these are swingers, and they are very open about it, and I feel like he is, well, no, he can't be, but they move on with partaking in these taboos apparently, but he's the only one who was, I guess, emotionally unintelligent enough to think, oh, this is something real now. I have this.
Oh,
and so to answer to not trump up your question, no, I didn't find him that sympathetic. I can see where they were trying, but I guess in my time, I find it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be.
No, that's fine. It's a curious to me because having read the book, I kind of like. There's some scenes where I'm sort of watching the movie and seeing the book at the same time. It's been years, but it really stood out to me how at the end, Lolita, she's college girl age, and there's a line earlier in the book where he's like, that most hideous of things, college girl, something to that effect. And yet, even though she's pregnant, fat, she's old to his eyes, he still loves her. And you realize, he may be a horrible human being, but he really still loves her. But then again, this is a book that starts out ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he's trying to convince you that he is a good person.
God.
So this may be pure
okay.
manipulation.
Okay, I don't mean
You know?
I don't mean to lump Vladimir Nabokov with like Salman Rushdie and the let's burn this novelization because I read 2 pages of it and I thought this was a some people without thinking would think this is a pro pedophilia. Yeah. I think that pedophilia is less a topic than a vehicle for discussing people's loneliness and vice.
Okay, so it's the damning a book in a movie because on every page and on every scene they're not like pasting pedophilia is bad. Pedophilia is bad.
I know.
I'm not accusing you of that.
No. Of course, it's like I don't. Those people that are like subtext won't do it. I need hypertext that's just like bad.
So I guess I think that's one thing to be emphasized if you ever want to recommend this movie to somebody or the book is that its reputation precedes it.
Yes, definitely.
And you have to steer them away from that. It's not what you think it is. But it's still puzzling to those who know what it is. If that makes any sense.
What I find, I don't know if I do find this interesting. I'll just say it. Her age matters less and less as the movie continues.
It's the similar with me where, like again, the thing that's most uncomfortable to me is not pedophilia. It's
the power dynamic.
It's the power dynamic,
the manipulation,
and his lack of empathy for other people. The way he treats and sees other people. I hate being inside that man's head.
I love that. That's why I laughed at that scene where he's like, "Oh shit, she wants to marry me." Oh my god! Like that was I guess like permission for me to not hate you, but go like, "Oh dude, you are shitty. I'm in it for another hour and a half. Let's go."
Oh, that scene where he's just like laughing his head off when his landlady confesses his love to her. Oh God, that was great. Yeah,
it's the one time where we get to like. There's very rarely in this movie do we get to see the menace of Humbert. It's again when he's reading that letter and that love letter and he's laughing his ass off. Another time is when he's arguing with Lolita, and I remember these details from the books. It's like when he grabs her wrist and just clutches it so hard, and he strains her wrist. And there's just a slight nod to that in this movie, or with the stuff with Quilty. But the stuff with Quilty is so funny. If you want to recommend this movie, try to emphasize that it's not some sex book or some sex movie that's like, hey, want to see this old guy fuck a little girl. That's not what this thing is about at all. It's actually a deeply moral book and movie.
I think that's a hard sell. Like I think it was just 2 weeks ago on Twitter, it showed up in my feed a whole bunch of people attacking all these male writers and the specific books by them, and Lolita was on there, and I'm just like, you're wrong. Like I get it. I get why you might not you might be uncomfortable with this book, but it's a fucking work of genius. And it is a moral book because Humbert is not a moral character. It is a moral book because Humbert is not a moral character. And, you as a reader come away from this book realizing this was a bad man. Or you come away reading it being like, wow, those sentences were really hard. That could be too if you're young enough reading this. Like the first time I picked the book up, I put it down for like 2 years and before I approached it. I stole it from my brother's bookshelf, and he was already in college, pursuing an English degree, and I just wasn't ready for it.
If there's one thing, the one person on this couch who hasn't read the original 55 book by Nabokov is that I'm warmed by the fact that the old cliche is, the book was better. What I'm getting from both of you, your opinions, is that as with most Kubrick films, the book and the movie are its own beast. Because while Stephen King, for example, did not like what happened to The Shining, those are almost two different like not interpretations is I don't think is the right word.
Transformations.
Yes, transformations of the work, because they're different mediums and you have to transform those into things that work. So in the novelization category, it's first person is a good tool here, whereas 60s cinema is maybe not the best tool for getting this kind of stuff out of the way. I really am glad we had a guest, because that's how we talk for half an hour about 50s. Is it, what's the original language?
It's English.
Okay, but
I
don't know why I feel really bad that I heard Nabokov.
Oh, he's bilingual. He wrote half of his bibliographies in Russian. So.
Oh, that's dope, guys. Thank you for joining us on the Day After podcast and our sub show, Too Many Kubricks, where we watch and review every Kubrick film in chronological order. Please join us in 1 week where we're discussing 1964's Dr. Strangelove: Space, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. That's not going to fit on the YouTube subject bar.
For a light comedy. Holy fucking shit.